Welcome to Obsidian for tabletop RPGs. Let's learn how to use the tool. Alright, g'day guys and welcome back today to another Obsidian video. I wanted to do a quick video tonight to do a quick shout out to a new plugin that I've started using because it's really sort of helping me out. And just to set the situation, obviously I'm pasting notes all the time for my Forgotten Realms sort of like vault, and I'm making location notes and basically setting up where people are going, and I'm copying a lot of information in from things like wikis. So let me just bring in some information as a bit of an example. If we go to Shadowdale, alright, here's the Shadowdale note, and you can see here that I've got all this information here, and a lot of this is basically pasted in from a wiki. Not always, but a large chunk of time that's where I'm getting the content from. And I'm getting that from a wiki site. Now, some of the things about the wiki site I don't particularly need, and one of those things is reference notes. Yeah, I know, official notes, you're meant to reference them, but I'm not writing university documents here, right? I'm not putting this on the internet, this is for my own personal good. I don't need the reference links. I don't care where the content comes from. If I'm ever going to do more research, I'll jump online and find it. But let's just show you an example of where this becomes an issue. And let's just say we're going to copy in a chunk of code here, and what I'm doing is I've just brought up the Underdark Forgotten Realms fandom.com wiki. Alright, I'm just going to paste some content in here. Alright, and we can see here that we've got 6 in here, 5, 5, 5, 5, like all these annoying little extra bits of content that I don't need. And obviously, like, what these are is they're referencing to the bottom of this document all the references and where the content comes from, which is fantastic. Like, when you're using a wiki, it helps you go back and figure out where that content came from and where they found that reference note. I just don't need it in my personal notes. Now, what I've been doing at this point is then going through my notes and going, delete, which is possible, right? But what an absolute pain in the you-know-what, right? It's slow, it's clunky. I've got a new way. Check this out. I highlight the content, I right click, and I go replace sources, and it's gone. Alright, I can do as much as I want. I can go right here, right click, replace sources. How good is that? Alright, it is so quick. And it's actually customizable as well. So if I come across different situations, I can modify this code in order to make it do what I want to do. Alright, so let's jump in now and show you how we do this. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is obviously install the plugin. Alright, we're coming down here to settings, we're going to community plugins, making sure they're turned on, I'm sure you've done that by now. And we're going to here for browse. What I'm going to do is type in regex. Now, I've done some videos on regex before, and for my regular viewers, you're probably screaming at me now going, why isn't this video a red video, right? Why am I doing this as a medium video, right? An orange video. Alright, it is an intermediate video because I'm going to show you the code that you need to use. If you go on and write your own code, then it becomes a red video, right? And that's where we slow down a little bit, and you guys probably need to be careful. Now, I will say this before we go any further. We are messing around with regex, okay? It's relatively safe because we're only doing it on a single note, but always take a backup. Alright, in this case here, you can actually just Control-Z your changes so it's not too dangerous. Anyway, we are looking for the Regex Pipeline by No3371. Come in here, alright, do the install, do the enable. Alright, go through and have a bit of a read on how it works because there's some quite interesting stuff in here, and it basically teaches you how we're actually going to be doing this stuff. Alright, and I'll go through and I'll show you some living examples of this in a minute. Then we've got the options, of course, you should go through and do that. Quick rules, I'm actually going to increase that. I've been looking for that. I'm going to set that to 5. What that is when I right click, I get a number of quick rules that I've got, and I've actually got about 5. So I'm going to turn those on so I can actually see it. Quick rule, yeah, I'm going to do that as well. I'm going to set that to 5. I'm just going to increase that. Alright, just so I can check that, there we go. I've now got all of the commands that I had where before I only had 3. So that's a really good tip. Go into settings and boost that up if you're going to have lots of these things. Alright, anyway, what does this do? How does it work? Alright, we've enabled it. Now, what we have over here, if we come down to here, oh, what's that? Creature pane, that's new. Sorry, I'm just finding new things, you know what I'm like. Regex rule sets, it's the little dice icon down here on the left hand side. Alright, opens up this window here. When you start, you're just going to have a plus button. Alright, just a plus button, and you need to start making things. And ideally what you do is you press plus, and you give it a name, my command. Alright, and then what we're doing is we're doing two things. We're going to say, and I'm going to show you an example here, we're going to say, we're going to find the. And I think it's that one there. And when we find the, we're going to replace it with capital the. Alright, we're going to close that. Now if I right click this and go my command, we can see all of the have converted to capital this. Alright, that's the simplest level of how this works. We're finding something and we're replacing it with something else. Alright, very, very simple concept on the surface. But as you can see, we're going to go a little bit into a bit more depth. Alright, because in this case here, what we actually wanted to do is get rid of these 5s, right? And for that, we're going to need regex. Anyway, we've got it installed. Let's jump in and show you how to do this. I'm just going to pop in here with a quick edit. I just wanted to call out before we jump into the depths of this content that I've actually added some supporting tutorial content to the Obsidian TTRPGtutorials.com website. What you want to do is jump in here to plugin tutorials, come on down to generic plugins, and I've added Regex Pipeline. And you can basically come in here, you can click this button to get the install for the actual plugin, but I've got a site here on Regex, and what I've done is I've just done some examples and situations to try and help you understand what Regex is and how to use it, provide some links that I'm using in these videos as well, but also down here I've started getting copies of, like, you know, these are the things that we're going to go through in depth. I've got copies of the code and then explanations of what that code sort of looks like as it steps through. Alright, so just to let you know that it is here, hopefully that will be useful for you in this situation, and let's jump back to the video. Okay, so we've got the plugin installed, and the first thing we want to do now is learn how to make it work. Alright, but the first thing I'm going to actually do is actually get out of Obsidian. It's not the right tool for the job. Alright, so when I'm messing around with regex, I like to do it in a closed, safe testing environment. Alright, so I'm going to copy this content just directly, and I'm going to come over here to regex101.com. Alright, you can see I'm just going to paste that into this box here, and that gives me a test environment to play with. Alright, we're going to be writing regular expression, which is basically very confusing text code that allows you to search for text within text that meets specific rules. Now, you're probably used to like find and replace, right, that you see in Word, and you might be like find the and replace with capital the. It's a simple concept. Regex is a lot more powerful because it lets you go, I want to find something that meets this specific rule. Like, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. The text isn't always going to be matching. It might have different cases. It might have some dots in there. But there's a pattern in my notes, and I want you to find that pattern, and we're going to work with that pattern, and we're going to replace that pattern. That's where regex really shines, and that's what we're going to be doing here. Now, if you are brand new to regex, I've got other videos on it, and I've actually got a post over here on my Patreon. Alright, so regex, if you just go to my Patreon and you search for regex, there is a bit of an article here that comes up and shows me stepping through some find and replace just to show you what regex does. And I'm going to give you a small example tonight. I will go ahead and get this onto the website as well, so you'll be able to go and search for regex here, and hopefully that'll help you. But let's just go through and basically create one of these. Now, I have done this already, but we're going to go through and teach you. What we're looking for is obviously this pattern. Anything between a singular square bracket with a number inside it, I want to replace those. Alright, so how do we do this? Well, first we know it starts with a square bracket. Alright, so we want to find square brackets. Now, square brackets are a special character that are used within regex for coding requirements. What that means is we need to escape the square bracket with a backslash that basically says, I want you to use this as a piece of text, and I want to search within my text for the text that matches this We're not using it for the special coding requirement anymore, and you'll learn which ones you need to use these for. You know, you don't need it for everything, but square brackets is something you certainly need on. Now, you can see as soon as I've typed in my escape and then my square bracket that I've found all the square brackets. Alright, so that's already starting to work. Now, I need to find a number of numerals, right? Numeric results. So what we're actually going to do, and this is where the square bracket comes back in, is we're actually going to go an open and close square bracket. And what I can now do is put inside of those square brackets the things that I want to find. Now, in this case here, I want to find numbers. So I'm going to do a 0-9. And what that does is that tells it that I want you to find any numbers, all right? Or any number, actually that's important, any number, all right, between 0 and 9. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all right, gives it the variables it needs to basically reference any number, right, because that's everything that's used. But, this is important, it's only actually going to find one. And I'm going to do an example here. If I type in a number of numbers, you see that it hasn't actually found any more than one. It's just going to find it, that's it. So what I need to do is actually put a plus behind that. And what that then does is it says, I want you to find every number in this string that matches this requirement until you find something that doesn't match this requirement. And as you can see, we've got a square bracket, which we've found. All right. Then we're finding the numbers, which we've found, but then we hit another square bracket. All right. So it ends that number at that point. And now we put in the next one. All right. Now we want to find the closing square bracket. Now, question for you guys home, do I need to escape it? Yes. Yes, I do. All right. Because again, you can see square brackets are used in special cases. So we've got to escape it to tell it I want to look for the text of what comes next and the closed square bracket. And now you can see that we have the entire string captured inside of this field. Brilliant. Fantastic. We're exactly where we need to be. All right, so what I can do now is basically replace this entire code. So we're going to copy this, all right, and just make sure, let's go through. We can see it's caught all of the instances of it. Some things that I will commonly do is like maybe come here back to the wiki. Let's grab another page. Alright, come back here to the regex, test it out. Alright, is it picking up everything? Looks like it is. Like, fantastic, it's highlighted everything. So we know that it's finding it. Alright, that's the key bit here, is it's finding it. So we're going to copy our regular expression. And we're going to come back here into Obsidian. We're going to come here to the dice icon for regex rule sets. Alright, we can actually click here to create a new one. New, replace sources. And we're going to basically say we're going to find things between our brackets. So we're going to find that within the brackets. Then we do the dash and the arrow to say I want to replace this with this. And I'm going to do a bracket to say I want to replace it with nothing. So click save, new replace sources. Alright, let's just do a copy, right click. Now, remember I said before about the whole, you can, in the settings, turn it up from 3 to 5. And you can see that you can't see my new option in the right click menu. You can go back to settings, come down here to the regex, where is it? Regex Pipeline, go to settings, and you can probably increase this to 10 if you want. That will allow you to have more of those options. Or you can obviously come back here to the dice button and you can actually click the button. Alright, so let's do that one. We're going to click that and click the button, keep an eye over here. Alright, and boom, our 5s have now gone. So that's a really good outcome for us. Gives us everything that we sort of need. And you can see obviously that's on the right click menu as well, new replace sources. Now, I've actually found some situations in the wiki that this didn't work for. We'll come in here. I wonder if I can just do a search for citation needed. Just I need an article that's basically got a few of these situations in there. Alright, see some of the notes, go away ads, some of the notes have this citation needed. Alright, now what does that mean? It means that our regex query is actually not going to work for those. Alright, so let's paste these into our regex builder. We're just going to go there. Alright, and you can see we're still getting our numbers, but we're not getting our citation needed. Alright, which is a bit of a pain, but we're going to figure out a way to do this. So what I've done is I copy this and I go and paste that onto a notepad. Alright, because I know that bit of code works. I'm happy with that bit of code. But now I need to find something that's going to bring me the citation needed. Now, we're going to do the escape and we're going to do the open bracket. So now we find the brackets. And what I could do is just type citation needed. Alright, and then we do the escape and the close bracket and it finds it. That is definitely one option that would work. It will always find the citation needed. And this is the method that I've used in my code. But I wanted to show you another way as well, just so you know this is possible. So let's do the escape and the open bracket. And now we want to find alphabet numbers, right? Letters. Let's go through. So we want to go and find A to Z. Alright. Sorry, I messed up. I need to do the open and the square, and everything inside of that then gets brings. So we're going to go A to Z. Alright, you can see it's found one little citation. Well, let's go plus. It now finds the first word. Why has it stopped? Alright, that's a good question. It stopped because there's a space here, and we haven't got spaces inside of our square brackets. If we put a space, we get everything. Now, what you can also do is go capital A, capital Z. Alright, because if you actually didn't have that and you had capital C citation, and you didn't have that, you'll see it doesn't actually work. So we put an A-Z in there, and then it works on capitals as well. And this works for everything, guys. Like, you could put in dashes, commas, periods, right? So that whenever it finds that in the text, it's actually okay with that. I don't need it in this situation. Citation needed is actually a very specific word that they use on the wiki that I'm using, so I can rule for that. And then we go from there. Now, I actually don't want to do this in my situation because I found some code that actually has like URLs and stuff, and I want to be careful with my rules because if I make it too freeform, it might pick up on some other scenarios that I haven't seen yet, that I don't want to necessarily jump into fixing without knowing what it is. But we don't want just citation needed. Alright, we also want to have everything else. So let's just go and put that in. Alright, so now we've got citation needed. We need to do our escape and our end brackets in order to capture the whole thing. Alright, but now we also want to make sure that we're doing the numbers as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to put an OR in here. Now a pipe is an OR. And then we can copy our last bit of code. Alright. So see, this is an OR, the pipe, the straight up line. So we're saying we want to find citation needed or that number. Alright. Now we can see it's picking up all of those except for that. Now that's a special situation because I manually changed that, obviously. So you know, like, yeah, you're going to have to look at your text and your requirements and you're going to have to work your way around this. But we've now got working code. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to come back here to Obsidian. Now, this took me a little bit to figure out because obviously you're going to come here to the button. You're going to think, oh yeah, there's a UI here. There'll be an easy way for me to edit this. No, you can't actually do it from within the application. Of course not. That would just be too easy, right? So, what do? We come over here. It's in your vault, in the .obsidian folder, in a folder called regex-rulesets. And what it does is it creates a file per command that you've created. Alright, now new replace sources is the one here. So if I want to edit this, I can right click and go open with, and then just select your notepad or notepad++ if you got it. Alright, you can see here that just opens up that same code that we entered into that UI before. And what we're going to do is we're just going to copy that bit there, delete it, and paste in our new one. Then we're going to save that change, move that out of the way, close it or whatever. And now when we come in here, Actually, what I'm going to do, just for example purposes, I'm going to grab this and paste it into Obsidian so we can work on the same example, something with citation needed. I'm going to highlight everything, right click and go new replace sources. Alright, and boom, that's now got rid of everything that had the numbers in it and also everything that had there. Alright, fantastic, that works really well. Now, for some of you, you're probably like, oh, boom, I have no idea what you just did. You need to go away and study some regex. All right, I'm going to be completely open with you. It looks like the Matrix. All right, I spent 6 months looking at this stuff. I'm like, I can't see what you guys are seeing. Everyone's like, it's so easy. I'm like, no, it's not. It just looks like the Matrix to me. I get it, guys. But once you sort of break it down and do it slowly, and like as I said, get on my Patreon site. We've got that step-by-step on how to read some of this stuff. It does start to become quite easy to read. It's a very flexible sort of syntax language that you can use. Now, just to throw this out there, there's other things that you can do. So let's show you some of that. All right, so you want to add a monster to a note, right? And until now, what I've been doing is Alt-T, monster, insert monster. Here's my monster, and I change that to awk. And I now get a stat block for an awk. Well, what if you could just type awk? I mean, I can do that anyway. What if you just type awk, highlight it, right click, and go convert to stat block? Boom, look at that. Ha ha ha. Alright, so we've now made it more efficient. What if I wanted to have an awk in an encounter? Right click, convert to encounter, voila. We now have an awk encounter. Alright, so I'm started playing with this Regex Pipeline plugin to sort of make some right click shortcuts for things I do all the time to make life easier. Alright, now this is actually not that hard to do. Alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the code so that you can see it, and we'll talk about it and we'll show you how it's working. Alright, so again we're going to go to this folder. Let's start with the convert to Statblock. We'll open with Notepad. We'll have a look here. While we're here, I'm going to open the convert to encounter, just so it's all open in Notepad and we can go through them. And I don't need that. I don't need that. I'm gonna open this one as well. This is another one that I'm using, is convert external links. Alright, let's just run through these. Alright, so this is the find. This is the command in the bit in the middle that everyone needs to have, and then this is the replace. So what are we doing? We are saying, I want you to look inside of the note. Alright, inside of here we're looking for anything that is basically a letter. Alright, it's a lowercase letter or it's an uppercase letter. It's a single word, and this might actually be problematic for my ruling. I might need to actually expand on this for any monsters that have a, you know, two words in their name, for example. I might have to put a space in there. Alright, that would probably allow it to be a bit more flexible. Alright, something for me to consider. Yeah, I'll have to think about whether I want to do that or not. But it's basically doing that. Now, you're probably going, well, hang on. What's the brackets? Alright, because we went through this, right? Where the square, open square and closed square means find anything inside of that that matches these rules. So if we type awk, it's going to find it because it's a capital O, it's a lowercase r and a lowercase c, and we're looking for all lowercase and all uppercase. The plus sign means find as many in the same word. Alright, so we're finding it, we highlight awk, we trigger it, it finds awk, that's fine. What are these? Technically, this is like, it's a variable, right? It's saying I want you to store the result of this inside of a variable. Now, what is a variable? Think of it like a pigeonhole where you put something, right? It's a box. You put a piece of information in the box, and the variable will therefore have a value. So, if we're defining a variable, in this case here between the brackets, we're saying I want you to create a box, and in that box I want you to put whatever I find here. Alright, now obviously if we run this, we found awk, so it's put awk in the box, This is the first box that we've created, so therefore that box is called $1. Alright, $1 will return the value from that $1 box. Alright, so where we've found it, we've found awk, we've put it in the box. Then we come down here and we're going to replace this with everything between the quotation marks. And I'm just putting the syntax here that the plugin requires, right? It's the little curly bracket things, Statblock. And on a new line, monster. And then we come in here and we put the monster name, right? Because we're saying go to that box and give me back the monster name, and then we break it out. That's all it is. Very, very simple. And you can see it worked. It found awk. When I highlighted it, it returned it and put it in there. Nice and easy. All right, let's have a look at the convert to encounter one. Very, very similar concept here. Again, it will only work on monsters with one word in their name currently. I'd need to expand it a little bit, and I'll do some testing, right? I'll go away and look for some monsters that meet this requirement. Maybe like the type 1 demons and stuff, for example. Like you bring one of those in. That's more of a complex name. I think it's even got a bracket in it, so I'll need to like train this to look for that. But we find the name. Oh, excuse me, it's getting late. And then we basically go, right, what are we going to do? We're going to replace it with, again, it's just the syntax. And this one's nice and simple. I've put the information in a box. I'm bringing that name in, but I bring that name in twice this time because I want it in the name of the encounter, and I want it in the, obviously in the creatures section. And there we go, done, right? That is pretty much all it is. Now, here's an idea. Here's an idea. Just me having a bit of a chaos moment, right? You know what I'm like. I go down these bloody holes. What if I wanted to do this for awk? What if I want to be able to actually have my regex do that? Let's just run a live example for you guys. Let's come over here. Let's grab this code. Alright, we can find it there. I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm going to go, I want to find 0 to 9. Alright, so that we find that. Yep, that's fine. And then we get the name. There we go. Look at that. Alright, so I'm finding 0 to 9. Alright, it can be, I could put 99 orcs in there if I wanted. It's in my bracket, so I'm putting it in a box. That's going to be box number 1. Then we're doing box number 2, alright, and that's where the orc name is going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that over here, and I'm actually going to replace this top section here with that. Alright, so that should work. Now, this one's box number 1 now. But that needs to be box number 2 because the name's going to be in second place, and this one is going to be $1. Alright, so now what I'm saying is when you find box number 1, bring that down in here, that's going to be the quantity. In here, that's going to be that, and then we should be good. Alright, if I save that, and we go back into here, 4 orcs, highlight, right click, convert to encounter, we now have 4 orcs. Oh my god, that's glorious. Now, I'll probably get a little bit clever here, if I'm honest. I won't do it in the video because I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to go out and research how to do some sort of like if-then statement, right? So that if there isn't something in there, it defaults to 1. I'm sure it's possible. I don't know the code myself. Someone will probably comment in the videos to say, hey, here, how'd you do it? I'd appreciate the hell out of that. But I'll probably just, go away and figure out how to do it. I'm sure it's possible, but that's the sort of flexibility that this sort of regex language has. Alright. Okay, so there's another one that I've been using here, and it's probably not so much for the wikis I've found. When you're pasting from a wiki, it is actually quite common for it to contain links. Right? Things like to figure plane, paladin. And if you do a basic Control V into your note, you can see that it brings those in. Now that is quite messy. I find personally I don't like to have that in my notes. So just so you do know, if you're doing it from something like this, so Control Shift V will actually bring it in without that. And obviously then you can use that one that I just showed you, how to get rid of the actual sources. So that's easy. But let's say instead of that, you're actually going to something like D&D Beyond. Alright, and you want to paste in like your rules for dodge and hide and help. We can come over here, I don't know, what did I just click then? We can paste that in with just a standard Control-Z, and you can see that it actually brings in these sort of different options here where it's got, you know, this is the thing there. Now that's not really what I want. Down here, for example, you can see you've got stealth and then the link to the stealth. I kind of want to just have the content going straight to there. So what can we do? We're going to copy this and we're going to bring it over to our Regex 101 and we're going to paste it in here. And you can see that I've got a little bit of code here that I've already been working with. Alright, so I'm just going to take a copy of this and I'm going to put it over to the side just so we can practice with it. I've got way too many notes going on over there. Alright, just so we can practice. Let's break this down. So we're going to start. We want to capture square brackets. Alright, so we're going to go escape square bracket, so we capture the square bracket. Now in this case here we can see it's starting to pick up two different variations here. We've got one that has some content, one that doesn't. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to say we want to find, we're going to use this special one called a wildcard. Alright, and you can see here that that is basically bringing in the end. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this as well. So I'm going to go escape end bracket, and that finds everything, right, between the square brackets, except those ones there. Alright, so we'll need to figure that out, and I'll do that with an OR statement at the end. Alright, but next we want to make sure that we're bringing in the end of it. So let's try this again. We're going to now go a escape and a round bracket. Alright, there we go. We're going to bring in the same code, the period plus question mark, and then we're going to end it with an escape and then a round bracket. Now we're getting everything between those round brackets, and you can see that we've caught everything. Alright, so that's pretty easy, but I want to put the name in a box. So after here I'm going to put a round bracket and a round bracket, and therefore I capture those into my little variables that we talked about before. Alright, so anything that goes in there is now in the $1 box that I can now use. Now, looks to me though like we're not actually quite here because we missed a number of these, didn't we? This situation here though isn't actually probably going to be useful in this situation because I kind of want to get that at the end and I don't want to replace it. So I might leave this, I might actually do this as two separates if I'm honest. I'd need a separate rule for this because honestly, like what I need to capture here is not the text within here, which is what we've got in our bucket here. I need to capture the bit at the end. So why we won't do that. Alright, so let's just work on this example. Alright, we've got this code now. We obviously put it into the tool. And I'm just editing mine here. Get rid of that and save it. So what are we saying? We are saying I want to find the square bracket, between the square brackets put it in a box, in there find anything between this, go up to the last square bracket, alright, and then we do that again to get everything between the curly brackets. Alright, when you find it, replace it with square bracket, $1, $1 being the return. So in this case here, we're going to have square bracket, incapacitated, square bracket, square bracket, stealth, square bracket. Alright, let's save that. Go to Obsidian, right click and go convert external links. There we go, look at that, stealth, unseen, and you can see that's already now updated to point to my notes. You can see here that the help and hide is still there. Alright, I could get rid of this by creating a new one. Alright, let's just do it for the sake of doing it. You guys are like, yep, teach me all the things. What are we going to do? We're going to go escape, square bracket start, escape, square bracket end, escape, comma. Then we're going to do that fancy little one that we had before, right, which is the period plus question mark, period plus question mark. Alright, then we're going to go all the way through to a round bracket, and then we're going to do a capture everything in between, come in here, and we want a word. word. There we go. There we go. Alright, so what do we do there? This bit of the section, caught those two. Then we caught the period. Then we said capture anything in between. We caught anything in between right up until it hits the next rule, which is the end. Then we caught, we put it in a bucket. That's what that is. Then we caught any words, which is like this, just it'll be capital A to Z, lowercase a to Z, and it'll be, I think, space, underscore. Let's just check this. Help me. Yep, it's going to be there. Help me underscore. What about down here? No, it's on a new line. It doesn't matter. Alright, so that's really handy. And then obviously that then gets put in that bucket, which allows us to pull that in. So if we copy that and we come back to here, we'll do it through the menu this time because I haven't created this one yet. Okay, we're going to press the plus button. I'm going to call this replace DnDB titles. And we're going to paste this in. We're going to go back to our regex and just grab this. Alright, so that's our string. And we're going to paste it in here. It's got to be between brackets. And then down here we do our dash and our arrow to say we're going to replace the thing we find. And we're going to replace that with, put it in brackets. That's important. If you don't put brackets, it won't work. And then we're going to go $1. Alright, so we're going to replace everything we find with $1. Alright, save that. Let's highlight it, right click, replace DnD, and bingo. That now works. Alright, so there's a few examples here, and I'm probably going faster than some of you can handle, right? And you're probably screaming, slow down. I'm going to put this all onto the website so you can step this through bit by bit, right? It is a lot, and regex is quite lengthy to learn. I will say that you're going to make errors, okay? And just so you are aware, in your vault, .obsidian folder, regex rule set is where these things exist. If you create something that you don't actually need, you can come in here and you can delete them. Alright, so we can delete those things, and then what you can do is you can come to the index. The index file is kind of like the menu of which ones are available. So I just delete the ones that I've deleted and I can get rid of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see that it's quite literally just a text file that contains a list of them. You can probably change the order, whatever. Save that, done, and when you come back into here from there, alright, if you click reload, it should actually get rid of those. Alright, so if you mess up, you make some mess, that's how you clean that up. So yeah. Alright, anyway guys, this has been the Regex Pipeline plugin. Alright, Regex Pipeline. It's very handy, right? I'm just scratching the surface of sort of like what it can do. I really like that it lets me have this right click menu here that I can have shortcuts. Like that is just, it's gonna save me a lot of time, alright? It is a complex topic. I will have these so you can copy and paste them yourself, alright? As we said, that's why it's going to be an intermediate video, not a red video, alright? Not a challenging video, but you can make it as challenging as you like, alright? You can go off and figure out how to make your own regex. So, anyway, hopefully this has been helpful, guys. It is a very, obviously, large, complex topic that can go down a very deep rabbit hole, so please do take backups of your things, and as I said, I will document this all step by step in an actual text format as well to make it easier for people to get through. Anyway, outside of that, I want to say a huge and massive thank you to all of my patrons. Absolutely loving your support. A huge shout and call out to all of the community. Obviously, if you do want to get in contact with us and come and join the community, head on over to obsidianttrpgtutorials.com. Come here to community and support, alright, and jump in here to the Obsidian TTRPG community Discord. Alright, you can grab all the links to the Discord and find us in there and get support. I will just do a bit of a shout out, right? This tool has a learning curve that could be very simple or very complex. Alright, so if you are diving into this pool, don't dive headfirst into the deep end. You will not be able to swim. Alright, go in slowly, learn how to wade, then learn how to swim. Outside of that, guys, I want to say thank you to everyone. Have a huge and great weekend, and I will speak to you on the socials. Enjoy.